It's been over 50 years since a Democratic presidential candidate won Utah at the ballot box. But earlier this week, the Fox News decision desk flipped the Beehive state from solid Republican to toss-up. Donald Trump and his bombastic campaign are not connecting with Utah's Mormon Republican base. But another candidate is. Native son, Evan McMullin, an independent candidate, is running a tight race with Trump and Hillary Clinton. A new poll shows him at 22% in Utah. That is within the margin of error of Trump and Clinton. Evan McMullin joins us now from Las Vegas. Appreciate you being here, sir.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
Our brain room, at the request of our producer, put together a little bit of background here. The last time an independent candidate won a state, George Wallace, 1968. Last time an independent candidate won an electoral vote, 1972, John Hospers. That was before either you or I were born. Do you think you're the one who can change this? And is Utah the place?
Yes, I absolutely do think it's possible, and the Mountain West, including Utah, I believe is that place. Both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were rejected soundly by voters in this region and in Utah in particular, and they're looking for something else. They don't think, and I think accurately, that either of these two major party candidates should be leading this great nation, and they want to find somebody else as we get closer to the election. I think they're looking for other options. The more we learn about Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, the more we realize how corrupt they are and how their ideas are old, and we need something new. We need a new generation of leadership and a new conservative movement, and I and my running mate Mindy Finn are offering just that.
It sounds a little bit like the argument that you dare say came from John Kennedy back in 1959 and 60. Speaking specifically to the Mountain West and Utah, where you're from, huge Mormon population there. How much is the Mormon values, you think, playing in to this big break towards you and towards other independents on the ballot?
I think there is a factor there that is just that, but I think it's it's larger than that. I think there's an independent streak in the Mountain West. I think that there's a goodness of the people there that just reject the brashness and the hostility and vileness of Donald Trump and his campaign, and people who reject the top-down, one-size-fits-all centralized government of Hillary Clinton. I mean, they're looking for something else. They're looking for independence. They're looking for liberty. They're looking for leaders who will unite us, not divide us. And neither of these two major party candidates are offering that. That's what I am offering, and that's why I think we're competing well there.
This is an important question. Are you more never Trump or are you more never Hillary? Because the argument can be made that by pulling so many votes in the Mountain West, you could help the candidate that you dislike the most.
Well, I'm opposed to both of them. I think they're both awful in their own ways, some similar ways, some different ways. We need better leaders. It's time for someone to stand up and say enough is enough. We've got to have leaders who are honest and wise and who will put the interests of the American people first. And we just don't have that in this campaign other than, I think, Mindy and I. So that's what we're doing. Look, I'm exercising my constitutional right to run for president and to offer the American people something better. I don't want to see either of these two major party candidates in office. I'd like to stop them both. We could get into detail about why each is bad, but they're both awful and they both need to be stopped.
Evan, we're 3 weeks out from the election. You haven't been on a debate stage. Polling is certainly well in Utah and some Mountain West states, but not across the country. I think reasonable people could agree you're likely not going to be sworn in on January 20th here at the Capitol. What's a success, though, for you out of this campaign? Is these interviews a success? What's the end goal here that you'd say, hey, look, all the hard work I've put in, the sleepless nights, the travel, has made it all worth it?
Well, first of all, we're the only conservatives in this race, and we're standing on principle like no one else is, sadly, from the Republican side or conservative side, or few are. That's what we're doing. We're standing for what's right and what's good and the fundamental ideals that this country was founded upon that are still important to our future. The idea that all men and women are created equal, that we all have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These things are basic to our security and prosperity going forward. Someone needed to stand for them. On Election Day, we're we're working very hard, and we hope for the best. But whether we succeed or not at getting this election to the House of Representatives, we are building a new conservative movement that I think will be the future of the conservative movement in general, one that's open to people of all races and religions, one that treats both women and men equally as they are in fact. And that's what we're building here, and we're very excited about that. And we needed to stand up now to make that point, because if you stand up after the election and you didn't stand up during the election, what legitimacy really do you have?
Well, hard to complain if you didn't show up. Evan McMullin, appreciate your time, sir. Thanks for being here and sharing your thoughts with us. Come back before the election, especially if you're out in Utah. I'd love to hear how it's going out there.
Let's do it.
All right. We'll see you then. Shannon?